Mario Kart 8 is filled with a bunch of incredibly designed racetracks that are extremely fun to drive on. Virtually. What if, though, Nintendo went absolutely insane and tried to make these tracks in real life? I want to figure out how many of the tracks are actually drivable by like a real life car that has maybe a little bit more suspension. This game has a few mechanics in it that probably just couldn't transfer to real cars though. For instance, since we're talking about real cars, you can't just be driving underwater. So a track like say Dolphin Shoals where you're underwater like 99% of the track wouldn't work in real life. Also, I'm going to be ignoring like video gamey things that don't exist in real life, like these little guys being on the track. So yeah, let's see how many tracks I could actually drive on, starting with the Mushroom Cup. The first track we have here is Mario Kart Stadium, and with it being like the basic track for this game, you'd think it'd be the most drivable one in real life, but no. There's this huge anti-gravity section on the stage that makes you drive horizontally, and now I'm pretty sure my little Ford Focus doesn't have a ride-on walls setting, so I'm gonna have to say this one is impossible. The next one is Water Park, and you can tell by the name of this one that it's gonna be impossible, mainly because of this huge underwater section. Sweet Sweet Canyon has a combination of the last two problems in one, with an anti-gravity plus underwater section. Or wait, is that like syrup? I don't know, who cares, you still can't drive on it. The last track here is Thwomp Ruins, and it starts out super promising. You can avoid all the water and anti-gravity sections for like half the track, and the anti-gravity at the end isn't steep enough to really be a problem. It just looks like kind of a steep hill. But there's one more problematic mechanic that I haven't covered yet, and that's the gliders. It's actually been a problem on the last couple tracks, but I didn't feel like I needed to say it. But the gliding is something that wouldn't be in like a regular car in real life. So this huge jump at the end that requires a glider would make this track impossible to do with any real car. So yeah, pretty great showing from Mushroom Cup. Let's see if the next one can maybe even get one that's possible. Flower Cup starts with Mario Circuit, which is like the first track that comes to mind when I think about this game. Too bad it's entirely anti-gravity and you could never make this in real life. Toad Harbor, however, starts out on a perfectly flat road and then just continues on a perfectly flat road, like for the entire track. There are some optional anti-gravity sections and big impossible jumps, but you can just avoid them. So this is our first actually possible track so far. Third track here is Twisted Mansion, and yeah, first thing you do is drive up a wall, so. The final track is Shy Guy Falls, and it starts out pretty fine until like the second turn you go anti-gravity, and by the third you're driving up a waterfall. So another one is impossible, but at least Flower Cup had one that you can drive. Shell Cup starts out with a great throwback to the Wii with Moo Moo Meadows. And not only is it a great track, but it's completely fine to drive on. There aren't even any crazy branching paths or anything, it's just completely fine to drive on from start to finish. Now we're on to our second track, and our second Mario Circuit, only this time it's from the GBA. This is also the second Mario Circuit you can't drive on, because this jump out of the anti-gravity section is like 8 stories and would probably kill you. Cheap Cheap Beach can actually be completed without going underwater at all. Too bad to do that, you need to take this massive glider jump at the start of the race. Rounding out Shell Cup is Toad's Turnpike, and this is literally just a big freeway shaped in a figure 8. It's like real life cars were built for this. There are some anti-gravity sections on the side, but those are optional, so this one is fully drivable in real life. I guess Toad really knows how to make a track that works in real life, because both of them are possible so far. The first destination in Banana Cup is Dry Dry Desert, and I guess I should mention now that I'm allowing real life cars to be able to drive on like sand and ice, because I don't want to make these rules too strict. Anyway, the two biggest problems with this map can actually both be solved in the same exact way. The first is like this big sinkhole thing, and you can just drive right around it. And the second problem is this underwater section oasis area right around the corner, but you can actually just drive around it. So add it to the count, our first desert track is actually drivable in real life. The next track is Donut Plains 3, and even though it's from the SNES, which should make really basic tracks, this game added a big pond that you can't really avoid. And yeah, you can't like drive into a pond in real life, so. Royal Raceway seems like another basic track, and just like Donut Plains 3, it's impossible. This time it's because of a big glider section though. The final track in this cup is DK Jungle, and oh hey, look, it's you guys. Whatever you guys are. Okay, yeah, anyway, big glider thing just like the last map, so you can't drive on this one either. Really fun track though. Star Cup starts out with Sunshine Airport, and that's really hard to say. Anyway, if you couldn't tell by the name, you're going to be doing a lot of gliding around, which makes this one impossible. And just like I mentioned in the intro, Dolphin Shoals is impossible. Like, you literally start this race underwater. This is like all I need to show. Next up is Electrodrome. And what kind of name is that? Just call it Electrodome. Why is there like an extra R in there? Like, what? Sorry. Anyway, this one is another impossible one, so the streak of unrealistic tracks continues. The last track in this cup is Mount Wario. And going in, I thought this would be possible, but I guess I just forgot how many anti-gravity sections there are. And the fact that you need to jump like so far out of this plane when you start. Like, I know it's on snow, but that would be rough. Special Cup just sounds like it wouldn't have any that would be possible. And with Cloud Top Cruise at the start, my prediction starts out correct. Even if you could somehow get to this track up here, it all is an anti-gravity twisting around, so impossible. Bone Dry Desert was so close to being valid, but there's this gap you need to glide over at the end, so close but no cigar. This track sucks anyway, so I'm glad it didn't get into the Cool Tracks Club. This game's Bowser's Castle is insane, which makes it super cool, but it also falls short of like the whole being able to possibly drive on in real life label thing or whatever. So yeah, no shot. And yeah, I can basically just skip over this game's Rainbow Road, like it's so obvious it's not gonna work. But if you really want to see proof, boom, there. You happy? Anyway, wow, this streak of like non-drivable courses is like really long now. Starting off this cup is Wario Stadium, and this one has every possible reason not to be possible. It has underwater, it has anti-gravity, and it has these jumps that a normal car would just crash doing. And even a glider section, although you aren't really jumping over anything, so I wouldn't really count it. But the other three things just overrule that, so. Our next destination is Sherbet Land, and I always thought it was Sherbet, but I guess it's Sherbet? But anyway, I'm looking at this map, and yeah, this one is super possible. You can just do the entire track just driving around on the above ground ice and never fall below into the water. Finally, the streak is over. We have a track that actually adds to the tally. Hopefully Music Park can continue the streak, and I think it does. I don't know. There's this glider section, but you're not really jumping over anything, so I just don't want to count those, because in real life it would just be like a small little ramp. There's also a bunch of little jumps, but I don't have a problem with any of that. The only issue I have with this map is this huge bounce you get off this massive drum. I have said that other courses can't pass because of big jumps, but I feel like this one's smaller than the rest. And I'm not really a physics professor or anything, so I'm just going to say this one passes. Leaf Cup finishes with Yoshi Valley from the N64, and the main gimmick of this track is all the branching paths you can take. One of these branches makes you only hop down these little curb-sized gaps, so I'm going to say it's all good. I didn't even test the other paths, so if there's a better one, let me know. Anyway, I think we have ourselves a streak going here. I mean, 3 in a row? That's a pretty good way to end the cup. Lightning Cup is next, and we start out with Tick-Tock Clock. And you know what? I think this one passes the test too. There's a single skippable glider section, and then just a bunch of mini jumps, so I think it's good. This is crazy. Like, are the rest of the tracks from here on out just gonna be realistic? Is this streak really gonna last the rest of the tracks? Oh. I hate this track, and there's an underwater section, so there goes the streak. Grubble Volcano is the third track, and ignoring the fact that if you took your car up to a volcano, it would be a suicide mission, this one seems possible. If you take the right path, there's just a bunch of mini jumps that I think are fine to jump off of. Stupid Piranha Plant slide ending the streak, but it definitely would have been over here. The N64's rendition of Rainbow Road is covered in anti-gravity pad things. To start out the Mario Kart 8 original DLC, we have the Egg Cup. This cup opens with Yoshi Circuit, which is even in the shape of Yoshi. I'm also playing as Yoshi on the Yoshi bike. This is so much. Okay, but anyway, this one is just a flat road like how the circuit tracks used to be, so boom, another possible track to drive. Excite Bike Arena could be an interesting case, because the track is always randomized. But there doesn't need to be any conversation around it, because you can just do this. Doesn't it look fun? Dragon Driftway is next, and I can't even tell you what's up and what's down on this one. It's all over the place. So there's no chance you can take the old 2001 Honda Civic out on this track. Mute City is the first of the 2 F-Zero tracks that are in this game, and it's pretty obvious that you can't do these ones in real life. They're just twisting and turning all over the place. Crossing Cup starts out on Baby Park, and you might see that it's anti-gravity and think that you just couldn't drive on it, but no, actually. The track's at a slight angle, so it would just be like driving up a hill in a loop. So, no complaints from me here. Cheeseland has a huge jump in it, which makes it undrivable. Wild Wood starts you out on the side of a tree, so obviously not. And even the Animal Crossing map is impossible. It's because of this glider section over a river that I really thought you could avoid, but you can't. Triforce Cup starts out with a classic in Warrior's Gold Mine. Too bad it has these huge jumps all over the mine portion of the map. They actually put the SNES Rainbow Road in the middle of this cup, and to my surprise, they actually made a Rainbow Road that you can drive on with a real car. Like it's just a flat track with a couple turns. Like driving on this would be scary, but it's possible. Ice Ice Outpost is split into 2 roads, but on both of them you still have to take this massive jump with a glider, so no. And the Legend of Zelda track, Hyrule Circuit, is impossible too. It's because of this glider jump in the middle of the map. And at the start of our final cup, we have Neo Bowser City. This rainy track may seem impossible because of a glider jump and an anti-gravity portion, but I actually think it is. The anti-gravity part is just a steep hill. There's not like a twist in it or something. And the glider jump doesn't matter because you aren't actually jumping over anything, so I say this passes. Ribbon Road, though, doesn't pass. There are a few jumps that are just a bit too high, and there's a glider jump, so that rules this one out. Super Bell Subway is just a subway system that you're driving through, making this one completely possible to drive through with a real car. Please do not drive through a subway system in real life though. And like I said before with Mute City, the F-Zero tracks in this game have no chance of being possible. So no matter how much fun Big Blue is, it has no chance. So yeah, that's every track that'd be possible to drive on in real life from Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, but just the base game. 15 of the total 48 tracks would be possible to take a little spin on. Also, here are the stats cup by cup for all the drivable tracks. If you're still watching, why not subscribe and like the video to let me know that you liked it? I want to make another one of these with the booster courses at some point, and a like if you left it would really motivate me to actually do it. But yeah, that was pretty fun to make. Okay, bye!